So I want to take a minute and talk about cameras and gear. As photographers, we all get into our tools, and that's what these are to me, truly. The cameras do not make good pictures, the ideas behind them do, the light does. So essentially what we need is something that can capture light beautifully, and these cameras do so. 5D Mark III, 24-70 lens, and that's what I shot pretty much all the pictures for this tutorial with. But for this lens right here, the 24-105, which I only used because I wanted to zoom in on some background mountains. So we all know these cameras, there's tons of information about them out there. The only thing I want to mention that's valuable for me with this is that it is a full frame sensor. That's a really good quality, and it comes with some really good glass. I have to say these L lenses that comes from Canon are pretty decent, and if you are to invest good money, I'd rather spend less dollars on the body and more money on the glass, because that's what's important. What's in my camera kit is the 35, the 50, and the 85 fixed lenses, and there's these two, the 24-70 and the 24-105. When I go somewhere, that's really what I take with me. It's only this with a backup. So if you want to invest in gear, do not get gear heavy. Do not look at these guys that have a $50,000 digital back. It's not worth it. What's worth it is to invest your time into creating pictures, your money into creating pictures, and not into a gear. Even though it's fancy to have and it looks cool, it does not make good photography. This does. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys are super curious about all the camera gears I use, so I don't want to blow it off and say, oh, it's this simple, but it honestly is. Your focus should not be on the gear. The focus has to be on what's in front of you. So I can't emphasize that enough. There's extraordinary pictures taken every day with the iPhone. So people can get away with the simplest of tools in creating good content. So I'm not going to just blow off the importance of gear, because it is good and it is important to have great glass that will capture sharp pictures, but it's not the essential of image making. So I just want to say that get a 5D Mark III or an equivalent from any of the other manufacturers, a Sony or a Nikon, and start creating. When I started out, the threshold to enter photography was a lot higher. There was the hustle blast, there was the cost of film, there was all these expenditures that came with taking pictures. Today you can, for a fairly reasonable entry point, buy this package and you'll be in business as a photographer. So that kind of sums it up for the non-gear gear section. There's a few things that I want to talk to though about why this specific lens. And as I mentioned, I do have these primes, but they're not as versatile as this is. Primes are beautiful for really sharp portraits, but for the composite work that I have done in this tutorial, it's really important for me to have a lens where I could just zoom in and zoom out. For instance, when we photographed our girl that walked through the river, as a composite piece, shot as a composite piece, it's really awesome for me to be able to zoom in and zoom out as the girl comes walking towards me. I could zoom in, have her full frame, and then zoom out as she gets closer, filling that frame. If I had done that with a fixed, for instance, it would have given me 2-3 exposures, versus working with a zoom lens, I could shoot her as she comes closer and I get maybe 10 pictures on that one take. And then I mask her out and put her into the spot I want her for the background. So it's truly a versatile lens. So for that reason, it's my tool of choice to work. If I were a portrait photographer, maybe I would have chosen a 50 or an 85 as my primary tool, but for what I do, this is truly extraordinary. So I think that's all I want to say about gear. Let's go back to creating pictures and all the thoughts and ideas that goes into that, and not focus so much on this.